here we are. Tetra and I are back at it again to present to you more HGC China goodness. What a spectacular performance by the one we just witnessed, with sensational plays left, right, and center. Meng in particular was turning on the heat in game number 2. We even created a Reddit post for it, so if you guys want to check it out and upvote that ish, go do that right now because it was wonderful. Special shout out, by the way, to Grim here Gaming for creating the clip that we could watch. It was fantastic.
And as usual, but I saw it second, Nmail, I'm not entirely sure, 00, who, as usual, also was able to clip it, but I saw it on Twitter after I had seen it, Grim here. So once again, thank you. I know he watches a lot and is always on point with the clips every single day. Absolute MVP. So thanks as well.
I'm going to go for another shout out. I'm going to give a shout out to Onzon L, who also created a clip. So we really, guys, appreciate you helping spread the hype and helping spread the word, because those Chinese games, man, they deserve way more credit. They deserve way more attention, in my personal opinion. So keep doing that, guys. Keep tweeting at us. Keep whispering at us on Twitch. And we will gladly help you out and respond and share.
We also finally have a full result. If SPT go 1-1, they will have the exact same map score, will have gone 1-1 versus the 1 both times, so they will be completely identical. So the team that will get the higher position in the playoffs will be decided with a single best of 3.
Which makes sense, right? Best of 3, it's not really overboard. It won't really make anyone tired or feel super bad about themselves, but a best of 3 is like a good compromise between, you know, not as, let's say, unfair a best of 1 would be, where just one match would decide the entire outcome, but best of 3 gives you plenty of chances to think about your games and prepare accordingly for them. So it's a nice way, a nice compromise to deal with things. So if SPT were to play 1-1 today against Beyond the Game, we would go into this crazy tiebreaker situation with another best of 3 being played. Although we wouldn't really know when that would take place. Would it take place right now, today, or on a different day?
I would assume.
Probably, yeah. Maybe you can ask.
The show already lasts longer because we have Hots Academy in the middle.
True, and it would basically mean that SPT would have to play 2 games back to back, which could be an advantage. Yeah. Disadvantage, sorry. So yeah, maybe you can ask Chinese production when that would take place. Maybe they already have a date set in mind.
I doubt they have something organized at this point. I think they will just play it when both teams are available.
Gotcha.
If I had to guess.
As long as they keep us informed, that would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, we can keep an eye on the website, so we'll know by the time the playoffs roll around.
And for sure, Tetra and I will post that on our Twitters as well. But you can check out, once again, down below, more social media interaction for HGC China, more benefit, more value for everyone. So yeah. Now enough of the sellouting, the shameless self-advertising. Let's get back to our schedule with our next game already being in the pipeline. As Tetra said, we are currently about to face Soa, who are then duke it out against Sunnyline. And as you said, man, give me points, man. Give me a point, man. You got a point for Sunnyline. They just need something. They need something.
Yeah, I mean, there is a good chance if Sunnyline can take a 2-0 today, then they will. I mean, it's unlikely, but there's no way they can overtake Soa, but they can overtake RPG and just give themselves one less game to play tomorrow, to play next week. That's all they really need right now. If they go 1-1, we're in a situation where, once again, they will be completely tied versus RPG in terms of map score, where it would then come back down to versus, which I'm pretty sure RPG would win, but I will double check that.
Yeah, and Sunnyline, although it may sound crazy at first, you know, the first time you hear it.
God, nope, they're 1-1 as well.
It would be another tiebreaker.
It would be another tiebreaker if Sunnyline go 1-1 today and RPG go 0-2.
Tetra, can you believe it? How many games did we play? We had 9 weeks of play. 9 weeks of regular season play, and
we had 14 days of play.
That is crazy. 14 play days with you know, 4 games respectively, and still so many teams in the league managed to get the exact same map score, the exact same score when it comes to straight up comparison. That's how closely matched HGC China is right now, though. It's been the most in its most competitive state than ever before.
Absolutely love it. Love it all the way to death as we see Sunnyline preparing for their matchup. They need to, at minimum, draw and hope that RPG don't take a game off CE, At maximum, a 2-0 would be so perfect for them. It gives them safety, because then all they have to do is beat RPG from below them and then beat Soa again. If they can 2-0 Soa today, there's a good chance that Sunny Lion might not go into the relegation spot.
Which is insane if you think about it. Like, Sunny Lion, the most underperforming team, it's safe to say, all season long. And yeah, the key player for this upcoming series is going to be Klong. And I like the fact that Chinese production chose Klong as the key player, because not only do we have to talk about his in-game performance, which has been on the decline just like everyone else's at Soa's team, but also his mentality is a thing to discuss. Now, we know very little about Chinese players and their backgrounds and how they behave outside of the game or inside of the game, but some information, some details managed to slip through when we had a discussion with Zarya, who you can basically see on the left-hand side right now, our lovely female caster. Klong seems to be a very emotional player that sometimes likes to go for crazy ways of tackling problems. Sometimes he will just straight up tilt. And that's what she told me. And that's what happened last week. What was it actually last week? Or was it this week? It was this week. It was 2 days ago.
It was this week. It was
when he
Monday,
disconnected from a game, probably due to a technical difficulty, and then refused to join back due to a mistake on his part. He was so angry at, I don't know if it's teammates or his opponents or the production crew, that he straight up refused to play. And that, of course, ended up in a loss for Soa, and he only managed to come back in game number 2. So yeah, highly controversial player, and probably one of the most intensely discussed days of HGC China ever.
Indeed it is, but you can see here, look at the stats. Those are pretty even between the two teams as we are heading to the Infernal Shrines, the Battlefield of Eternity, to start us off today. Very interesting to see a 2-lane map, perhaps the return of Thrall, as Europe and China seem to be the only two regions that really seem to like the Thrall. The others he pops in every now and again.
Although we saw a little bit of Thrall, a little bit of shining Thrall moments from Hugo just with the one. So it's cool to see other regions adapt to what Europe has been focusing on for quite some time now with Thrall. Despite his favorite build, or his former go-to build with Crash Lightning being nerfed multiple times now, it's still cool to see that Thrall remains a staple in the current meta.
Yes, they do. So, we are into the draft in Sunny Line. They have the first ban, this being a somewhat map choice. Looking to ban the Maiev to begin with. They've seen what it can do in some of the previous matchups. It's inconsistent win rate, but it's still an incredibly scary setup for wombo combos.
Very true, very true. You can never count out a Maiev. She's still one of the most lethal forces to be reckoned with, especially with the Warden's Cage, just being such a nice ability all by itself already, really. But if you manage to bring it up and make it synergize with other AoE style combinations, like let's say the Planet Cracker, we've seen attempts there. We saw AoE damage from Jaina just in general, and especially Soa, as you said, they relied heavily on the Maiev up to this point. Fei, one of the best, if not one of the best Maiev players in the region.
And so, the Hanzo already available. And the response, another incredibly good assassin in the form of the Greymane and a Malfurion. The support's still getting incredible priority these days.
Yeah, the reason why I love watching and casting games on Battlefield of Eternity is, of course, because drafting or certain heroes have higher priority on this very battleground than others. Braxis has its own shining heroes there as well. We mentioned supports. Other supports than Malfurion and Stukov actually seeing a lot of play there, like Morales. But here on Battlefield of Eternity, you see early Greymanes being prioritized simply due to the fact that their immortal racing capabilities are still top-notch. And if you handed over Greymane and Hanzo to the same team, you would almost always find yourself in the defensive position, right? You would always have to try and keep them in check rather than trying to race yourselves.
That is correct. So now then, what are we going to see as the next pick for Sunny Lion? With the hands already available, Stukov could be the next pickup here. But is that what they want? Is that what they really want to go? We see the Stukov. That is what they want to go for, but looks like they're going to keep a very safe backline. But the double Shimada here coming in.
Yeah, the two brothers are being deployed side by side, something that we're not really used to seeing a whole lot of, because oftentimes if you go for Hanzo and Genji, that will very likely be your main assassins, right? It's very rare for a team to go 3 squishy ranged. We can form a new word here, the squange assassins. But yeah, you basically limit your damage. You limit your type of damage as well. Hanzo is usually very single target oriented, so is Genji. And if you end up picking a very strong tank, let's say like Garrosh or Diablo, you all of a sudden have no percentage damage available until level 16, where Hanzo could maybe get a little bit of it. And that would oftentimes cause tanks to become very dominant, very hard to kill and take down. So normally we are not used to seeing those two brother heroes together, but maybe here in this map it makes a lot of sense. Hanzo is good on BoE in general, offers strong raging potential due to his PvE damage. And Genji, of course, is always nice for those early ganks on those 2-lane maps.
And we see the variant removed out here. We know Long likes the hero, but perhaps a little bit of a sour taste from previous Monday games. He does ban it out. Diablo looking to be the response. Diablo very scary against Hanzo, very scary against Genji especially. So that would be a very solid ban by the one, if that's what they wanted to go for.
Yeah, exactly. No percentage damage until 16. Even then, most Hanzo players don't even go for it because there are better options available. So yeah, Diablo could become this one big obstacle that they would not be able to deal with. So banning it out altogether, and also making things a little easier for their own front line, because Diablo will, of course, at 13-16 gain a lot of additional damage with so many walls nearby, near those immortal areas. So taking it out of the equation makes a lot of sense, and I like the approach by Sunny Lane up to this point. I really, really dig it.
As do I. It's much more normal than what we have seen from Sunny Lion at times in the past. If we're going for abnormal, though, there is no one potentially outside of maybe RPG and some at this point SBT who has been as abnormal as Soa. Lots of Zaryas and stuff like that. A Diva recently.
Yeah, double support. We saw that one with Uther Brightwing. Yeah. That was actually taking place yesterday. The old school double support, trying to go for full CC with Divine Storm and Brightwing. Polymorph and Emerald Wind.
Yeah, so let's see if Zoa continue to go down that kind of path and show us something a little bit interesting, or whether they're going to stick with the more standard meta to try and defeat what should, in theory, be the inferior team of Sunny Lion.
Yeah, Thrall back in the mix. Looks like it was not just the one who took a page of CE's books here, and they apply double horde power with ETC and Thrall. Really cool to see. And yeah, I was gonna say, like, you brought up the shenanigans that Soa sometimes likes to run. In this game, where there's so much on the line in terms of positioning and ranking themselves for the playoffs, I think there's no space here. No space for experiments. You better bring up your A game. Even against a team like Sunny Lion, if they end up losing just one map, it could spell disaster for them.
You could also argue, though, that this is always the mental stuff. This is why it's so fun to talk to people like Grubby or other pro players. You have that mental thing of, if there was a time to cheese and catch someone off guard, that would be it, because your opponent might also be thinking there is no time to go unstandard here. They're going to go standard, we're going to go standard, we're going to try and beat them.
Yeah, the in-game, in-tournament, in-league meta, of course, is sometimes very important to pay attention to. As you said, sometimes when you face them before in round 1, you played normal, you want to surprise them, you want to catch them off guard in round 2, because your opponents are not going to expect it. And we see the full Northrend tank line here, Anubarak and Arthas side by side. And you know what? I like it for 2 reasons. Arthas, in general, seems to be very underrated, in my opinion. He can also be a formidable soul laner, which is probably what they're going to do. And then Anubarak, of course, can deal with heroes like Malfurion or even ETC very well. Interrupts for days, stuns for days, and even if Malfurion were to go for Tranquility, you just pop the cocoon around him, and that Tranquility is going to expire like it never happened.
I like it. I like the plan. It sounds good. It also removes the Anubarak from the other team if they did want to go double tank line, to cocoon maybe the Genji. So digging it for that reason as well. So Soa, what are you going to show us now? How are you going to impress us? You already have a ranged melee, tank, and support. What do you pick? You can just go for anything you like here. What is the best hero to get the enemy's percentage damage, perhaps,
like a
in the form of a Tychus? A Junkrat for sieging, absolutely, could be fantastic. But we're going back to old style. The Zarya comes out.
All right, Zarya has been deployed. That, of course, offers more protection. It is also a Soa trademark, if you will. They've played this hero not just this year, but also in 2017 to great extent, and also to great result in success, right? To the point where it was even banned out against them.
Yeah, back in the day. And by the day, I mean 2017.
Yeah.
This season, the Zarya has been significantly less than successful. In fact, I will check now. I'm pretty comfortable in saying and preparing to prove myself wrong that Soa, I believe, probably have a 0% win rate with Zarya this season.
I am willing to support you on that claim. I think the win rate for Zarya as a whole is quite abysmal.
I am wrong.
You're
50%.
wrong? 50%, there we go. But what is Zarya's overall win rate? Because I would be willing to assume that it is below 50%.
I will find out for you. I think you're probably right. Just overall or in just HGC China?
Just in China.
Just in China this season. Let's get going to that. I will find that while we wait for the game to load.
Yeah, of course, it can only be a matter of seconds now until we find out who's going to take a...
16%.
16? 1-6?
Yep, 1 out of 6 matches.
Oh my goodness, that is a nightmare for Zarya. Can she fight the odds, though? Can she remain victorious and prove us wrong? We're going to find that out in a bit with Sunny Lions on the blue team with Pow on that Stukov. Jaina is playing a Nubarak. Feed B is on the Hanzo. Wildlight playing Genji this time. And first, their main tank on the Arthas.
And on the right-hand side, currently the higher-seeded team, but once again putting their faith in the 1 and 6 Zarya. It's gonna be Soa with Fei on Thrall, Uncle G on Zarya, TY on Malfurion, Klog on ETC, and Sorry is bringing out the Grey main. Klog returning to one of his old favorites, that ETC, putting faith in all of these players, actually, putting faith in the old guard, heroes that they used to be really good at.
And here's something curious we witnessed yesterday as well. Thrall, despite going for Crash Lightning, ends up being the solo laner here on BOE. Why? Well, if they ended up putting Thrall in the 4-man, they wouldn't have any range there, right? Zarya would basically be the only ranged hero that would always lead through some reckless playstyles as well. And look at that, they actually expected their opponents to have 4 people in the bottom, like, you know, tradition demands. And maybe Thrall could have actually gathered some cheeky early stacks there, but no. This way, they forced their opponents to rotate, which takes them a little bit of time here because they weren't preparing. And already some nice pressure being applied here by Soa. But yeah, Thrall can still accumulate enough stacks for Crash Lightning during the Immortal phases, which normally take a little bit longer, especially after level 7, 8, when there's more time available. Meantime, ETC in trouble. Arthas with a flank.
Long, while trying to zone, just puts himself in absolute death zone. The very nice gank by Arthas.
Yeah.
Able to pick up a nice easy kill here. Risky pick, by the way, here by a Nubarak, going for the regen master, but I still kind of dig it. The shield is just going to, if you went for the Nerubian armor, it's just going to get consistently procced by the Crash Lightning. It's going to get procced by the pinpoint accuracy, the Demolitions Expert, the grenades by Zarya. You're not going to be able to get max value out of it. It's going to be always down. It's going to block 1 in every 5 abilities. It's not too good here. Instead, you go for the extra regen and just hope that you win the Immortal phase, which you probably can do with Hanzo, to try and give your team the double globe in the center. And other than that, you just rely on dominating the lane and hope you can get it by the end of the game.
Yeah, well, we of course speak about globes. ETC went for proc ruck, so ETC a very supportive warrior in the late game. If he completes proc ruck and provides provides additional AoE healing. Very nice to see. And look at Stukov, man. That zoning alone by the lurking arm is going to give his team 1 tower, a gate, and maybe even 2 towers. Let's see if Soa can balance out the score here in the bottom, where they are pushing themselves with 3 impalers behind them.
I really like this move by Soa. They know they're losing top lane. They could react to it and try and defend this, but what they're trying to do is force as many people to bot lane as possible so Thrall can gain stacks. I like it while still leaving a defendable bot lane. Zarya, yeah, like you said, she's not going to be able to do huge amounts here. But with these many heroes in bot lane, they've managed to get about an equal amount of push. Zarya is incredibly hard to dive onto, so they've forced the rotation. It's exactly what they were looking for. Yeah,
sometimes if you know you can't defend a lane in time, don't even try to go there. Try to get value elsewhere. Try to basically mimic the enemy team's movements on the opposite side of the map. And that's exactly what Soa did, and that's why we like it. They managed to keep the experience count even. Now both teams are trying, actually only one team is trying to go for the Shaman Camp. Sunny Lion are willingly ignoring and neglecting it for now because they want to have a nice lead in terms of Immortal race with Hanzo and Genji, the 2 brothers, already side by side fighting it out.
Noob's already picked up several globes just by being consistently in lane and not rotating like the rest of his team. So he's already got a pretty decent amount of health regen, but he's now going to be stuck in the mid lane for a while, so he's going to be missing a lot of stats. as we see the slow moving by Soa. Want to make the most out of their
coming all the way from behind.
How did he get there? That incredible wraparound gets the two-man route. The slow is good. Looking for Zarya ADC, but a nice face melt with the face smelt on level 4 by ETC, able to keep himself alive.
And during all of this, Sori on the Greymane was largely untouched here, so he was turning it around quite nicely here. Now, of course, we have a 4 versus 3 situation. First is forced to take care of that Merc camp that Soa had taken previously, so very nice lockdown here as well by Klong. He's going in aggressively.
We see Klong moving in, like I said, trying to zone away while Uncle G's building up that energy, and they're able to achieve the halftime show. Only a little bit ahead. Arthas and Hanzo were able to do some pretty decent counter damage onto the Soa Immortal. Now, enemy Immortals on the opposite sides. They're able to start burning them down pretty easily. Jada is looking for a position to try and punish. Gets the stun onto the Greymane. Greymane does not care by the looks of it, but he's getting focused down by Genji. Has to wrap around the stun, try and dodge it. The root and the silence keeping, away from an escape move, but he was able to roll to his team.
Yeah, good speed barrier here as well by Uncle G. Soa is playing this very, very safely, and I like it. Speaking of playing it safely, Jaina is going in over the wall.
Jaina on the Nubarak, hyper aggressive. Good double route there by Faye as well. If only he went for the stacks, but he did not for good reason. And finally, Soa able to move back into the Immortal after all the engage tools Sunny Lion are used. They'll grab the Immortal. Now is the question if Sunny Lion can get any kind of counter out of this. Like the kill. Good movement by Faye with the double route, but the clutch heal by Stokov turns it into a bait. But the counter kill on Genji, thanks to the lockdown by TY, and a kill in the backline by Sori. This is just a massacre. Malfurion down, Hanzo down. First is super out of position. Can he sneak away? He's going to try and port back.
Uncle G, is he aware of it? Is he smelling it? Yep, Arthas was discovered and taken down. There we go.
Get rumbled. The globes not acquired for a Nubarak, which is exactly what they did not want to happen. The Immortal pushing in, and this will achieve at minimum first fort of the game.
Yeah, fantastically done here by Team Soa. What is really nice this year is that they were able to keep the kills even and actually take a lead with a 3-2 trade. While all of this, the Immortal was pushing in the bottom lane. So the worst case scenario for Zoa would have been, true, they get the Immortal, but they lose a lot of team members, so they couldn't have even reinforced this push, right? But with them keeping the kills even, they can do exactly that Nubarak going in with the Underking, longer range on the Burrow charge. Can they make it happen? Can they lock someone down? Falls in the top lane. Soa should retreat. This is a numbers disadvantage they do not want to fight with.
Shield from Uncle G, keeping himself alive. He's back there just because it's already been used, so it's not available. So down goes Uncle G. Too much chase potential from Sunny Lion, at least for the moment.
That is okay, though. Only losing one member, namely Zarya, who's just too slow and too immobile to escape that sticky situation, is fine. Because guess what? Thrall was able to soak a little bit. The damage in the bottom lane had been dealt in the first place. Anyways, Zarya will be back in time as well to defend against those mercenaries, against those impalers. So yeah, a small loss, but an acceptable one if you consider what they had achieved earlier.
Demolition's Expert complete, a little bit slower than players like Timeless, as we saw a little bit earlier in that bottom left, but it's now available, so Uncle G going to be spamming out that damage, combined, of course, with the pinpoint accuracy at level 7.
These lower third overlays are probably one of the coolest things in HGC China, right? Especially when it comes to comparing individual players from other teams and how long it took them to basically complete these quests and who's currently holding the record. These are the kinds of information that we would love to see and that fans are eager to watch as well. So well done, Chinese production crew. Big shout out to you guys.
Clutch dodge by Jaina, able to avoid Klong's power side. Not this time though, the follow-up face melt. Root does not land, but the damage isn't enough. Subterranean shield. Good escape by Jaina again.
Yeah. And that is the value of going for a full E-build on a Nubarak. Not only do you have a longer charging range, which escapes you or causes you to escape much more safely, but also, as you said, the Subterranean shield giving you that much needed shielding when using the Burrow charge, either aggressively, so you have a little bit of a buffer, or defensively when you want to make sure you survive in the first place. But you could already see how much Jaina is struggling in those fights, right? A Nubarak, very susceptible to hard-hitting auto-attackers. And guess what? Soa has 2 of those, 3 of those, even if Zarya is fully charged up. Thrall, Greymane, and Zarya. Those heroes are going to be some severe counters and some severe threats for any Nubarak.
See what they can do, and of course, the Cocoon very easily killed by Zarya. The quick attack speed could be a big deal here. Here comes the move in onto Throb, but he's able to back out, drops the root to an Ubrax, see if they can get the counter. Moving forward, HGC denied the power slide though, so no mosh pit for the moment, and with Earthquake already used in exchange for that flailing swipe, it's not the worst trade.
Yeah, I would say that's a good trade for Sunny Lion. You know, they stayed alive and they forced out one of the most impactful AoE CC abilities in the game. However, they had to use their disengage as well. As you said, the Flaming Swipe no longer available for a short period of time. That could allow Klong to go for some more reckless plays because no longer will he be able to be contained. And look at First, trying to go once again for that cheeky flank in the backline.
Focus on Sorry, but a good stun by Klong. Gives Sorry an escape attempt, but it's not enough. Explosion zone is dropped. Sorry turns it round. Dragon Arrow misses. Sorry, gonna have to retreat as Twilight is able to escape. In comes a noob looking for more. The speed barrier gets Sorry right out of there. And heroics were traded, but neither team able to pick up the kill.
That was an MVP expulsion zone here by Uncle G, completely separating the pursuers of Sorry and his buddy Greymane. He was able to escape because of that. He almost got the return kill against Genji, actually, who all of a sudden found himself isolated from his teammates. Now Klong, he's trying to go and make that play happen. Locking down on Feed B, now locking down on Jaina.
The focus on Klong is starting though, that's bad news. Silences down, he put himself in a choke position and he gets taken out. There was too much CC for him to attempt to mosh. He was trying to zone, instead gets himself caught out and zoned in. So though, still the big head start on the Immortal. If they can defend theirs pretty reasonably well for 10 seconds, then they have the chance to turn this round at the half-time show.
Zarya getting charged up a little bit here. 2 bars of energy up to this point. Her grenades are going to hit hard on VB. Here comes the Earthquake.
Oh! Not only did they defend well, they wreck First there, who was attempting another sneaky wraparound. That good Earthquake, like you said.
Yeah, and of course, First did no longer have his Army of the Dead, right? He used it before when he was trying to go for that big fight engage. So yeah, counting those cooldowns and realizing, you know what, Arthas is fairly squishy right now without the help of his ghouls. Let's just collapse and burst him down. That was so well done. And all of a sudden, although they were able to, or they had to suffer from a 5-for-support disadvantage, so is in the driving seat and in the commanding lead.
Nicely done by Soa. And once again, if they get a 2-0, they're going to be pretty comfortable here. Sunny Lion, they need at minimum 1, preferably 2 wins here. As Soa move it in to start burning down this Immortal. They are significantly ahead. A noob getting turned on. Too much greed perhaps as Zarya trying to turn around. Genji putting huge amounts of pressure onto the backline. Their Tranquility though. Not going to see the Twilight Dream against the Genji. Instead, just trying to keep people alive through the poke damage from Hunter.
Sorry, finished the Immortal. That's exactly what he wanted to do. But here comes the Dragon Blade. Gets 1, gets 2. Klong is trying to buy time with a zoning mush, but even that won't be enough. This is exactly the worst case scenario we figured would happen sooner to Soa if they continue to play aggressively like that. They lost 3 members just when they were about to get that juicy big Punisher there to push in the top lane. Sorry, the Immortal, of course. But now this one is probably not even going to get that much. Maybe because of the strong shields, it'll be able to deal with that fort. But that it would really surprise me if it got any more than that.
This keeps happening.
It keeps happening, exactly.
So, every single time, so many times in a couple games now, we've seen them give like 2 or 3 heroes lives for no hero lives on the opponent just to grab an objective. Objectives are defendable. Hero lives give XP. You're now behind while trying to grab an objective.
Couldn't agree more. And at some point also Soa needs to expect these ganks by Arthas. Look at First, he's basically playing like Hehe. He's basically imitating Hehe's style of how he plays Arthas on this map for the 1, right? So always trying to be in that cheeky spot, you know, making it unpredictable for the enemy team to really predict where he's going to come from and strike from next. But Soa, they need to just be aware of this. Right now, Uncle G, why don't you just throw a grenade in there? Because you have to expect something out of the ordinary happening anytime soon.
Here comes First with a lovely root. Uncle G is focused down, and the go for the throat is completely blocked by the deflect. This is a disaster. Thrall in a super rough position. Wilfred dodges the impale, though. There's the burrow charge, though, as Faye is focused down and will be killed off. Here's the counter kill attempt, not enough, as 2 more kills picked up by Sunny Lion, and they now have a full level lead.
This game, Tetcher, right here, right now, is a beautiful lesson for any team that is playing competitively on how to deal with Arthas, or maybe how to play and utilize Arthas themselves, right? Arthas, this new playstyle in China here where he always seems to be that one lone wolf that one lone ganker, you know, surprising the enemy team completely from the sides, from behind. It's just such a pleasure to see, and so it just keeps falling for it every single time. Those mobile lockdowns by Nubrek as well, paving the way for Arthas to follow up on, is just so strong and so efficient.
And here comes a move onto that Arthas, but Frost Presence just in time. Sorry, yeah, Icebound Fortitude, not Frost Presence. So yeah, easily able to sustain his way through that. Very quick activation right before the stun hit too.
Alright, so as now 13, that means Talons are equalized, have been equalized. Klong just clutch escape there. If he had gotten stunned there, I think it would have been the end of his life. And yeah, Zarya just seems to be struggling at the moment as well. Keep in mind, this is not the... Oh yes, it should be the newest version of Zarya with the lower cooldown on the Graviton Surge, but oh my goodness, Klong is just getting caught time after time.
Dragon Arrow! As the Dragon Blade comes in to follow the arrow, slicing and dicing the flailing swipe to give them honestly a chance to escape. But 1, 2, and Malfurion escapes. Zarya, on the other hand, is gonna try and make her way to the 4, but Twilight from the side, that's gonna make it 3. And, well, the Immortal is now open. They almost get TY as well. Jaina very aggressive there. But the fort's down, the Immortal is open, and this will be Sunny Lion grabbing their first Immortal of the game.
And once again, Tetcher, it is Klong getting caught for no apparent reason. The Expulsion Zone actually doing a really good job at keeping the enemy team at bay for now, but then it is just the double dragon coming in, and there's no counter to it. We see the Dragon's Blade and the Dragon's Arrow beautifully working together in perfect synchrony. I don't know, man. Is it the Zarya? Is it the way Klong gets caught every single time? I think right now there are too many construction sites for Soa to take care of at the same time.
Soa move back in. Round 5, I don't know, I've lost count. As Klong moves in, looking for his opportunity. Mosh is available, and he's in the cocoon. Zarya burns through the cocoon this time. Very good. Silent, only getting temporary value. The stun onto Klong, not that great. He moves through the expulsion zone as they turn around to try and kill off first. The Immortal is taken. Interesting move by Soa, unable to make anything work, but good damage control when Sunny Lion tried to turn it into their advantage.
Yeah, this looked like a promising start into that team fight for Soa, I agree, but now they're going to have to face the full might of an almost fully shielded Immortal. The Angelic Immortal now moving, marching towards the bottom half of the map. Soa still has their gate, still has 2 towers available, so they could buy a little bit of time. Once again, Klong is going to be caught here, gets rooted, gets stunned in the silence, nothing he can do, but this time he escapes. That was an important escape.
The Immortal marching through Hell's gates, but all of Hell's forces are alive thanks to that very close escape by Klong. And that means that threat of a mosh pit is always there. Once that Immortal is manageable by the keep, there is easily the possibility for Soa to dive past this. This should be a consistent fear by Sunny Lion. And look at that, they are positioning themselves very appropriately as such. Double root is down. Klong with a stun, potentially a bit too early here. As the Flailing Swipe disengages here. The keep will fall here. Now is the question, will Sunny Lion go too far?
That's the question. How greedy, how hungry are the Sunny Lions? Klong is already trying to lock someone down, but looks like the Lions have learned to wait. They're patiently waiting for the next moment to strike, and that's exactly what they do. Once again, Klong is caught isolated, gets silenced, gets killed. Again, you can't do this to your team every single time.
Zarya expulsion zones onto the cocoon to try and give Greymane a chance to escape, but Malfurion is already dead, no extra healing, and this is probably game. Sorry is down. Arthur's with consistent slows, easy catches, chasing down Faye. They don't even need to kill him at this point, but they do for style. And that is going to be GG. Game number 1 in hugely important fashion goes over to Sunny Lion.
Tetcher, the patient predators are the most lethal ones, and that's exactly what we could witness there. Sunny Lion toying with the prey, toying with their opponents, just baiting them to come out and dare look for a fight. And when Klong was once again too far in, too far separated from the rest of his team, they turned it around with a Howling Blast, root combo, no means to really save him there as well. Malfurion just doesn't have the cleanses. He just doesn't have the burst healing available that he needs to really keep Klong alive in those situations here. The Zarya remaining our largely unimpactful figure here as well. A very tragic game for Soa in this game number 1, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. 1-7 is now the score for Zarya. Not ideal. Wow, that's That's kind of concerning. We do also, by the way, with that win, Sunny Lion, even if they lose the next game, they are now at minimum tied with RPG.
Yeah.
Unless RPG can take a game off a CE, which, let's be honest, is unlikely, but it's happened before, including in the first rotation of HGC China. But that's a huge win for them. Every single win counts here because it moves you one step closer to escaping, just breaking free of the boundaries of that demotion slot. Because right now, if Sunny Lion win a second game, then they will have overtaken RPG and moved themselves closer to Soa. And if they could beat Soa once, they could do so again in the playoffs.
Yeah, so right now, if you're a Sunny Lion, you're going to pray to the gods old and new that CE won't throw the game against RPG, because RPG, once again, they could be a team to maybe take off a map of ETC. They've done so in the past, and they could potentially do so today, because for CE, on the other hand, nothing's left on the line, right? They can do whatever they want to. They're qualified for the midseason brawl 100%. They're guaranteed first seed in the playoffs, not at the midseason brawl, but in the playoffs. So even if they ended up losing that game, they would still be second place. That would still be enough to go to the midseason brawl. So whether CE is going to play 100% tryhard serious mode today, or if they decide to have a little bit of fun and just do whatever they wanted to do, like something they've always wanted to do live on camera, just bust out the Gaslow, playing a little bit of Chromie Gaslow, whatever comes to their mind. Of course, that remains to be seen, right? So yeah, Sunny Lion, they're going to take a close look at that series, which is going to come next, by the way, after this one has been concluded. But of course, we still need one more game to be played. And I don't know, man, it breaks my heart. Soa has been a part of HGC China since we started casting Tetra in early 2017. They started at the bottom. They climbed all the way up. They looked so good, and now they're falling back into the slump.
They really are. The loss of Molly really showing for them, whether it's a motivation thing, because Sorry is a good player. I don't know what to say about it. The fact is, Soa, right now, they look weak, and they could be suffering into that demotion position unless they pull themselves out of this slump.
Yeah, and it takes more than just one player to step it up, that's for sure, because there were mistakes across the board. You could actually argue that the draft didn't look that cleanly. Jaina, by the way, here coming in as the MVP. And that is, of course, a well-deserved one, because very rarely do we see, first of all, a ranged assassin player switch it over to the main tank and then looking this good. And then, of course, the Anubrak, which has been, you know, forgotten about a little bit in HGC China, coming in strong with golden cocoons and strong lockdowns all across the board.
I don't know what to say about Soa right now. Just, they were doing so well when they played the meta, and they've decided for some reason to stop.
Yeah,
that's the only thought that I've had in my hands. I've been thinking about it while you were breaking down the MVP, and that's all I can think of. The change came when they stopped playing normal.
Yeah, that is very true. And at some point, we have to talk about Team Soa as well. Klong, he's struggling once more. His misery, his story of unfortunate events lining up one to one another just continues, and he just can't find his rhythm today. He used to be one of the best tank players in the league, to the point where we were like, could this be the one replacing Misaka at some point? The one actually looking stronger than Wind? And right now, after watching C and SBT yesterday, we're like, hell no, this is not going to happen. Klong is in a really weird position right now, and so is the rest of his team. Fei Yi, we're used to seeing him dominate on those melee assassins. Uncle G, he used to be one of the best support players in the league, but now he's stuck on those weird heroes like Zarya that just won't seem to work in 2018.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. So we're heading to the Dragon Shire. Maybe they can bring out something here that they can turn this around with, because Soa, they could really use a win here as well. The fact is, KT weren't able to win today, so if Soa are able to take a draw